Luca Guadagnino's Challengers is an exhilarating film. I wasn't looking forward to it much at first, but after hearing positive word of mouth, my excitement for it grew exponentially. And man oh man, did the film surprise and amaze me. The film is centered around three people: Art, Patrick, and the woman of their dreams, Tashi, and the relationships they all share with each other, which is where all of the internal conflict of the film is derived from. Mind you, this review will have spoilers, so if you do not want to get spoiled, I heavily recommend watching the movie first and then returning to this video. Challengers is one of the most genuinely innovative and invigorating uses of the cinematic medium I have seen in a long time, with some of the most electric filmmaking I have seen in a while. It has an ecstatic camera, almost always in motion, which breathes life into the film, matching the rapid succession of the tennis matches it's capturing. There are harsh cuts that catch you off guard. There's a scene where the frame rate changes and the entire moment feels dreamlike. There are some insanely ambitious POV shots that not only show you the point of view of the players, but also of the ground and the very ball itself. The film is filled with multiple slow motion shots that effectively dramatize and draw out the tension of each scene it is in. The film is never once boring in its creative choices. If Luca knows how to do one thing, it's where to put the goddamn camera. He is not at all afraid to unabashedly execute the seemingly most ridiculous idea on screen with utmost conviction. There is confidence in his filmmaking. Sweat will drop on the screen. There will be multiple cuts at once to sell the impact of a moment. He fairly takes these big creative swings that pay off, in my opinion. And even if you don't necessarily like these choices, you have got to respect him for even attempting to pull something like this off. You feel the weight and power of each hit. There's an inherent violence to the sport, this visceral nature to it that the film perfectly captures. The film primarily focuses on the rivalry between two former best friends, Art and Patrick, and the relationship these two once shared or share with Tashi. Since both of them pine for her, there's drama there, fear, insecurity over who she will choose, wanting to prove themselves to her, which could potentially create a rift between these two. And those tensions are always ever present. But Luca still hints at chemistry between the two men very subtly, just through simple cuts that emphasize on their bond, their connection. How they can be vulnerable with each other, how they know and understand the little intricacies of each other. There is an inherent romance there. But that's also rather interrupted by the supposed main romance that Tashi has with both men at different times. Or at the same time? We also realize after a point that Tashi is a pretty toxic character. She's someone who just wants to talk about tennis, which bothers Patrick when they were in a relationship. But when he expresses this to her, Tashi is immediately put off by it and they fight. She lets him go because she realizes that Patrick isn't someone she can control. Maybe that's why she later turns to Art, someone she knows she can manipulate because of his feelings for her. And that's why, even after marriage, she indirectly controls and manipulates Art's choices. He's someone who has almost completely submitted himself to her. Tashi always sits in the center of every match of Art's that she watches. And even though Art is the one playing, it always feels like she is the one in charge, the one calling the shots. There's this demanding presence that Zendaya just exudes seamlessly that sells her cunning nature. But I also found myself empathizing with Tashi at times. It was easy for me to quickly dismiss her as just a manipulator, but you can tell that she wants to do more than just tennis. She expresses her need to have more hobbies than just simply hitting a ball with a racket. But maybe she's unable to do that. Maybe her love for the sport only allows her to talk about that. Maybe she just loves tennis to this extreme degree. It's sad, honestly, because this and her manipulatory behavior only continues to do more damage to her personal relationships. I often found myself attempting to examine and read Tashi's face. What is she thinking? How is she feeling? Zendaya does the perfect job of communicating the basic emotion her character is feeling, but there's also this layer of subtext behind it. Like she's thinking about much more than what we see. And that's what cinema is about. Reading people, reading faces. It's not just about what you see, but what you don't see. Sometimes during an argument scene, it contains multiple whip pans that go back and forth between the people. It draws parallels to how viewers watch a tennis match. There is poetry there. Even Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's mind-blowing techno-synth soundtrack is a pure blow to the senses. It fittingly plays during the intense matches, but sometimes it also plays when you see people talking. It may seem jarring, but it's done to create another auditory parallel to just how similar a relationship and tennis are. It took me back to Scorsese's Raging Bull, where there is this specific sound played during the boxing matches, and it's repeated when Jake beats his brother, using sound to signify that the domestic abuse is just an extension of the boxing ring for Jake. As the climax neared, I was very curious as to how they would conclude it, and it did not disappoint. They fired two Chekhov's guns without the use of any dialogue at all. One is the placing of the ball in the center, and this scene works purely because it's visual. It's something that has been set up before and is something only Art and Patrick understand. For that instance, Tashi is helpless. She can't manipulate Art from the sidelines because she has no idea what is going on. And this changes the dynamic of the entire match moving forward. There are so many emotions happening at once. There is the shock and fear of the former friend becoming even more distant. But there's also elements of comedy in it when Patrick smiles that just leave you not knowing how to react, which fascinates me. After a purely electric tennis match featuring some of the most creative editing and shot choices, the film ends on Art and Patrick embracing each other, which is a payoff to the first moment of us seeing a young Art and young Patrick embrace each other upon victory. On top of that, we see Tashi's face, and I found myself trying to read her. Is she angry? Is she disappointed? But why does she smile in the end? Because who really got the final point? We don't know, but that's okay. We don't have to. That is not the point. Maybe she smiles because no matter the victor, she got to watch some actual good tennis. As if Art and Patrick were in love together during those tiny moments where they actually played tennis. There's also a lot of significance given to the sound design during the matches. A lot of it simply consists of these two men groaning, could potentially read into it and call it moaning, which further emphasizes their homoerotic chemistry, while also paying off what Tashi had said earlier.
It's a relationship. For about 15 seconds there, we were actually playing tennis. And we understood each other completely. So did everyone watching. It's like we were in love.
She doesn't care about who won because she just watched the best tennis match in the world. Even the ever-changing timelines is a bold yet effective choice. The rapid and often abrupt shifts in timelines could appear jarring, but they do a great job in giving context to the relationships between the characters, which further intensifies the conflict in the present. So, when we cut back to the final match, we know exactly what everyone has been through and what's at stake for all of them. Everyone is right. This is the sexiest and horniest movie of the year. There is just so much passion flowing through every frame. It's infectious. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. It's made by someone who's using the medium of film in some of the most creative and unimaginable ways, and it should be championed. It is definitely one of my most cherished movie-going experiences of the year. Thank you so much for watching. I loved Challengers and I just had to talk about it because as I said in the video, there is not a day that goes by where I haven't thought about this movie, where the soundtrack hasn't been playing in my head. It's just great. So yeah, please comment down below about what you thought of Challengers. Like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Support the channel. It means the world to me. Until next time, I'll see you later.